go. All three of us off the mark now. 3 on the float, 1 on the bottom. Nothing overly big yet, but I'm sure they'll come. With the look of concern on Oliver's face. Zoom in on the trousers. Wait for it. You've not got that in yet.
Change his name to Ernie. Watch them parts here, we'll go straight forward.
Oh, you ain't let it come off. What'd you do that for?
Kaylee, yeah, no, you're not moving in with him like that.
Can you get her to come and pick him up as well, please?
Yeah, we'll do, yeah.
Yeah. How long's she going to be?
I don't think she wants to come with a disappointment like that. That's just shocking. I mean,
that's pretty poor.
Look for excuses.
A hoodie should be saying that's pretty poor, not more means more. Take 2. Whether you want to reel this floating out. Maybe 20.
Double.
All kicking off. There we go. What was it? 18.2, wasn't it?
18.2, yeah.
New PB. We've saved him the bucket of water for tonight. Get him tomorrow.
20. I've got 22 pounds. That's a good one.
I just say I'm sick and tired of going back and forth.
But you're so good at it. Don't get a nice clean jump to do it. Oh, now perfect in the corner of the mouth. Look.
Got a bit of belly on it.
Me or the fish?
Yeah. Oh, I did mean the fish.
Got to set the scalp again.
Yeah.
This one's a slapper.
I know, that's what I'm waiting for.
You can see it
No
going.
tail.
Let's go.
Just waiting for those glasses to go. Look.
You ready?
Yeah. 26.12, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, 26.14.
26.14. While I was out in the boat, should have been my fish.
Well, you'll get a bigger one next one. You get the next two fish, didn't you? I'll do a picture then, mate.
Yeah.
There we go. 26.14. Churchwood mid-sized lady. See, not all Essex girls are skinny. Top job.
Bloody butt. Oh, bum. More bum on this video than fish. Ollie, just watch when you step back, watch you don't fall over that.
You say it doesn't feel much, but then in about 2 minutes time it's going to turn its head and go, no.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's a similar sort of size to one you had yesterday.
I don't know, tail hook there.
Oh, very small.
That's a new PB for you.
Oh, it's nice and sunny at the moment as well, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a bambino. Slap him in the face. Slap him in the face. I'll give you 10 on that.
go, first one on the float tonight. After those ones earlier on, might just sort of scrape 20, I reckon. It's 21, 22, something like that. We'll pop it back and see if we can get Ollie one. $26.5.
26.5?
Yep. Should do it, start. There's one I've had before either. There we go. Lovely start to the week down here. Got 4 nights ahead of us and just had this one on the first evening. Rods have only been out there probably a couple of hours or so, and this one's rattled off on the old faithful Mino Ester again. Just gone 26.5, so a couple of photos. Pop it back and sort the rods out before it gets too dark, and be time to get some grub on then, I reckon. Cracking fish. Right, so I guess I ought to give you a bit of a catch up on what's been going on this sort of last month or so, or what's not been going on is probably more accurate, I suppose. August was a pretty poor month in a lot of areas, to be fair. You know, on the fishing front, other than getting down to Churchwood, a lot of my sort of original plans didn't really come into effect as I'd hoped, and it was a bit of a rough month in a sort of personal area as well. A couple of days before I was due to head down to Churchwood, which you've just seen that little clip of at the start of the video. One or two of you may well have noticed I had a bit of a shiner on my right eye. This was from a guy coming into the tackle shop. I think it was actually late July, last couple of days of July. Basically tried to grab hold of the till, get into the till. We had a bit of a scuffle, at which point I ended up being on the receiving end of a headbutt and 3 or 4 swings to the face as well. So yeah, that wasn't an ideal preparation for the week down at Churchwood, but it is what it is. You know, he didn't really hurt me much other than the sort of superficial damage to my face, shall we say, with the bruising and the swelling. So yeah, that wasn't a a great end to last month / start to this month, but there we go. Churchwood was enjoyable as always, not as prolific as it was back at the end of April when I went with Simon. It was quite warm while we were down there. There seemed to be a lot of little cats up and about, which I actually found when I went down there in August 2 or 3 years back as well. There was a lot of smaller cats about, whereas at the start of the year it seems to be the case where they're perhaps not quite as active as what the bigger ones are. Perhaps the bigger ones wake up a little bit quicker, I'm not too sure, or maybe we just didn't hit it quite right this time around. I did manage a couple of better fish on the float. On as far as the sort of bottom fishing rods go, there wasn't really a massive amount on those. That one that you saw Ollie losing was probably the biggest fish we hooked on the sort of pellet rods all week, I would have said. Although we didn't see it, it did look like a very good fish when he hooked into it. Other than that, it was quite frustrating. I think there was at least one fish trailing a bit of line and possibly a lead, hopefully not, but possibly, because every sort of evening we just have absolutely ripping takes on the rods and just lift up into nothing. We wouldn't even sort of feel fish bump off or anything like that, so either it was, like I say, a trailer, or possibly little small cats kind of picking up the hook bait and not getting the hook. I don't know, whatever it was quite frustrating, to be fair. But like I say, it's always a great week down there. It's a lovely place. You know, Steve is a great bloke and a great fishery owner, and it's always a privilege to fish the lakes down there. And we also got an ice cream halfway through the week as well, which is quite welcome in the warm weather. Going on from there, the following week I had my little girl with me, so there was no fishing that week at all. Week after that I had planned to get down onto my syndicate lake again, because I hadn't been over there for, I think it was 3 or 4 weeks at that point, with obviously the Churchwood trip and one thing and another. I got down there on the Tuesday, I think Tuesday night before work, and got everything set nicely. There was a few fish about, and I was actually down there by myself, which was a bit of a surprise. And about 2:30 in the morning, I think it was my middle rod, absolutely melted off. I hit into it, had it on for, I don't know, maybe 15-20 seconds or so, and then the hook just pulled. Just one of those things. Don't really know why. You know, the hook point was good. Everything looked good. So it's perhaps one of those I just nicked right on the edge of the mouth or something, and it just pulled free in the battle, unfortunately. So I got that rebaited back out there again, and about an hour or so later, my right hand rod sort of flew off, and then as I got about halfway to the rod, it just stopped, which was a bit frustrating. So obviously with it's taken a bit of line, so I it definitely wasn't a liner, so I picked the rod up, reeled it in, and under the torchlight I noticed I couldn't see my hook bait at all as I was reeling it through the water, and upon swinging the lead up and out of the water into my hand, I saw that my swivel had broken. First time in 25-30 years of fishing where I've had a swivel go in any kind of angling. Really strange one. You know, I've had those leaders on there for a fair while. You know, I've caught plenty of fish on all of the rods. So all I can think is it's just weakened up over time or something like that. Maybe got bent over somehow. But yeah, basically the little sort of quick change hook that was on the swivel inside the lead clip, it just pulled out from there. So yeah, it was a bit of a gutter. 2 takes, 2 hooked fish, and 1 hook pull and 1 swivel breakage, so yeah, it was quite frustrating. I didn't bother re-tackling up after that, if I'm honest. It was about 4 o'clock in the morning at that point, and I had to be up at work at 5:30, so plus my patience was rather thin at that point as well, so retying a new rig and new leader at that time in the morning wasn't going to happen. But the following night I had my second COVID jab over at King's Lynn. Stopped in there on my way home from work, and I'd planned to go the following evening once I'd finished on the Thursday. I thought if I'll get up in the morning, I'm feeling okay, I'll get the car loaded up, which I did. I woke up, I had a bit of a sort of dead arm like I did the first time round, but other than that I was all fine. Got the bait out the freezer, loaded the car up, got to work, all was good, and then I was actually going to head over to the new Syndicate Lake. About halfway through the afternoon, I started feeling really kind of lightheaded, achy, sort of coming out in a bit of a cold sweat and everything, and didn't feel great at all. At which point I made the decision to head down to Trinity instead, as it was it was a bit closer to work. It was one I knew I could just drop straight onto, plonk a couple of rods out there rather, and get fishing nice and easily. And yeah, by the time I got down there, I really didn't feel great at all. Josh was fishing 3 swims up from me as well, and yeah, I was just going to go and drop a couple of rods in the margin and collapse for the night basically, which I did. It took me a fair old while to get set up and sorted out with how crappy I was feeling, and then not long after dark I was feeling even worse, and I just decided to reel the rods in, so I didn't feel like I'd be up to managing anything should I be lucky enough to catch something. So yeah, I just made the decision to reel the rods in, leave them on the rests, and just get a good night's sleep before I had to pack away the following morning. Following week again, I had my little girl with me, and that pretty much brings us up to now. This Sunday just gone, I was supposed to be going out tote fishing again with Gareth, but unfortunately, because we've had reasonably sort of strong northerly winds pushing in right through the week, and they gradually got worse towards the weekend. On the Friday sort of evening time, I rang the skipper, and he said it was going to be very, very unlikely that we'd be able to get out, because there was about a 5 or 6 foot swell out at sea, which obviously is pretty rough and near enough unfishable when you're up tiding for the tote, to be honest, let alone not overly safe either. So yeah, that was another plan that got well and truly knocked on the head. Yeah, today I'm down at a little day ticket lake I've done a bit on over the years. If you remember the Diaries back from, I think it was 2018, because it was the year of the football Euros. I did a bit on here through that summer. I had a fair few fish up to just shy of £40. One called Floppy Tail. I actually had that fish twice. It's always a lake I like to drop onto for a couple of nights each year if I can do. Some nice fish in here, and it's just quite enjoyable fishing, and a nice place to come down for a bit of a social with one of my mates. And this week I'm down here with Adam. We've got 4 nights ahead of us, of which tonight is the first night, and you'll have also seen that 26 I had earlier on. I think it's been very, very busy over the weekend. Apparently there's been sort of 7 or 8 people on through Friday, Saturday and Sunday night, because it's been a bank holiday. There's only been 1 fish caught and 1 fish lost during that time. Yeah, when I got down here I found a few fish over a bit of shallower water. It's an area of the lake I've done quite well in the past. And Adam is fishing about 40-50 yards up from me, I suppose, more around the centre of the lake, and he's got a couple of rods out in a similar kind of line to where I've had that 26 earlier on. We were watching them and they were kind of coming off of the shallower water into this deep sort of, I suppose it's a bit of a sort of gully in between the shallow area and the near margin, and they just seem to be going up and down there. So I've got my left rod out more alongside the edge of this shallow bit of water. My other one that I had the fish on is kind of in this gully on the front edge of it, and then Adam has got his left rod a bit further up to my right hand margin, and then his right rod is sort of fished around the centre of the lake, which it always holds a few fish around there. You know, there's a big reed bed there and a lot of pads as well, so he's got a couple of nice drops down there for him. So you know, I'm confident in all the rods. You know, to be honest, the one that I caught the fish on was probably the one I was least confident in. But yeah, now that's I've had a fish off of there. The other three went down nice. Got a fish. Oh no, liner. That's that same rod again. So yeah, where was he? Yeah, we've got a good helping of the pure bait amino ester around them all. They do seem to love that bait in here. It's always done me a few bites every time I've been down here with it. And yeah, we've just gone into the first night of 4, so fingers crossed there'll be a couple more fish through the week as well. You know, the main aim is to hopefully get Adam his first 30. You know, that's what we've come down here obviously for a social and a few nights fishing, but if there was going to be a target for the week, that is kind of what it is. So fingers crossed that'll happen for him. He's not actually had a fish out of here yet. We've fished it a couple of times in the past together, and he's not managed to break his duck yet, so fingers crossed tonight may be the night, and if not, then he'll get one before the week's out. But I'm going to leave it there because I've been blabbing on for a fair while now, catching up with everything, and yeah, hopefully we'll catch up at some point tonight. If not, then tomorrow morning or afternoon, or at some point when I'll get a spare 10 minutes or so, I'll come up here and fill you in on anything that's happened in between times. So I shall turn off now, get my head down, and yeah, fingers crossed I'll have a decent sleep and maybe a fish or two. Number 2 of the session. Just been watching them coming in. Just been watching them come in on the same spot as I had that 26 from yesterday, and yeah, I was just about to walk back to Adam and say it's not going to be too long before it rips off, and off it went. Another lovely mirror. Got a couple of photos and pop them rods back out. It went through my left line as well on the way in, so give that one a redo anyway, so I've been out all night, so yeah, another cracking fish. Little jack bite. What? Little jack bite.
Jack bite?
Yeah. Yeah, it is, bad. Right, well, it's been quite a productive little session down here so far, to be fair. You've obviously seen those two mirrors I've had, the 26 and the one that was just over 20. Unfortunately, I did lose one probably around about an hour after that last 20 mirror I had. It was on the left-hand rod this time, and it absolutely flew off and just kited round on a tight line down my left margin, and did me in some sort of marginal pads down in the edge, unfortunately. Did try my best to try and get it out of there. Went round to the following swim up, and sort of got out on a tree branch there, trying to free it, but I think in the end it did drop the hook, because all the sort of, another liner. All the movement I was sort of seeing on the surface of the pads where it had gone in, that seemed to stop. So it's barbless hooks in here, so I'm guessing it probably just dropped it in the stems of the pads, and that was that, unfortunately. But I've gotten back out there again. The fish are still sort of circling around the area. They're looking an awful lot more cautious than they were this morning and yesterday afternoon. But you know, it's reasonably positive that they're still here, and they've not completely vanished and gone up the other end or anything like that. So I've got reasonably high hopes of this evening and tonight. Possibly getting another one to add to those two I've already managed. So yeah, I'm just going to have a quick sort of afternoon power nap now. And then we'll probably get the rods sorted at about 5:30, 6 o'clock time. Get them out in the water, fresh baits on, get a little bit more free, a few more free offerings out there, and just let the swims sort of settle in, stay quiet then. And fingers crossed they'll get their heads down and have another feed. Just got the rods resorted for the evening. A little bit earlier than what I'd originally planned, but I had another take on the right hand rod about sort of half hour, 40 minutes ago. I was actually on the phone to one of my mates, Chris, at the time, and yeah, the right rod absolutely ripped off. I could see it bow waving up and over the shallow water out there. As soon as I kind of got to the rod and tightened the clutch down a bit, the carp actually came and tail walked out of the water. It's the first time in God knows how many years of carp fishing I've ever had that happen to me. I've had it happen with sort of smaller fish, and obviously pike as well, but yeah, I've never had a sort of, it didn't look huge, it's probably mid to high doubles maybe, but yeah, it just came clean out of the water. I thought it had come off at that point actually, but it then darted straight back towards me again, right under the near margin. Got round my left hand line and yeah, managed to get it off of that, come up to the top, and it shook its head a couple of times, and unfortunately, as is often the case with barbless hooks, it managed to shake it out, and that was that. So that's two on the trot now that have got the better of me in one way or another, which is a bit frustrating, but yeah, it's I'm still getting the bite, so I can't complain as far as that goes. There are still fish in the area, so I've got the rods out and set for the evening now. I'm just going to have a walk up to Adam's swim in a second, and we'll get his rods sorted out as well, and fingers crossed he can get one either through this evening or during the hours of darkness. So yeah, unless I do get another fish this evening, I shall call that it for now. So I'll get Adam's rod sorted out, I'll have some dinner, and have an hour or two sort of socialising up there with him, and it'll be time for bed, I would imagine. Yeah, reasonably confident of a bit more action. 4 takes in 24 hours isn't bad going. You know, I'm more than happy with that down here. Yeah, so it'd just be nice to see Adam get one now, and yeah, we can really kind of settle into the session and start relaxing and enjoying it to its fullest then. So yeah, right, I'm going to pop off, get up there, get him sorted, and yeah, fingers crossed we'll be seeing you soon with another fish on the bank. Right, well it's late Wednesday morning now. Yeah, a little bit to fill you in on from yesterday. Adam unfortunately had a hook pull at about 6:30 time. Yeah, it was a rod we repositioned over to some pads on the far side. We've seen a few fish moving over there, and it only took probably 2 or 3 hours to get the bite, but yeah, unfortunately got it all the way back across the lake towards the net, and the hook pulled close in. A little bit later on, not too long after dark, it's probably about 8:30 time I suppose, my left hand rod sort of steadily headed off, and as soon as I hit into it, it felt a lot slower, weightier, a lot more purposeful than any of the other fish that I'd hooked so far this session, and having seen that big one floating around for most of the time I've been here in this area, I've got a really horrible feeling it may well have been that one. There's a couple that go sort of low to mid 40s in here. I'm really hoping it wasn't that, but yeah, something deep inside is telling me I lost a very good fish then. And the other couple that I'd lost early in the day I wasn't too fussed about. You know, they were zipping about all over the place, sort of typical smaller fish, but this one just felt really solid, really slow and weighty. But you know, it came off unfortunately. So I had it on for a couple of minutes, but I've got a bit of a nasty sort of bank of really thick blanket weed just under my rods. Probably goes to about 10-12 foot out into the lake, and so it was after dark, so I couldn't really see what was going on, and it just buried itself in amongst that, and I'm guessing probably just got a bit of a funny angle on the line, and again with the barbless hooks, it's as soon as it's got a bit of slack to work with, it's obviously dropped that hook out. So yeah, I was absolutely gutted, but yeah, after that the rest of the night passed very uneventfully. A couple of small liners, but nothing really to get overly excited about. And then I've just seen them starting to sort of head up onto the shallower water again now. I've seen a couple of groups of fish just cruising about like they were yesterday, so fingers crossed they will stay in the area, and I'm going to give these couple of rods a bit of a freshen up, get some fresh pop-ups on, get a little bit more bait out there just to get a bit more attraction in the water, and hopefully pull them down onto that bait like they did yesterday. So I shall head off now, get them sorted, and fingers crossed the next fish we hook will end up on the bank, because I'm not sure me or Adam can deal with any more lost fish. That's 4 on the trot between us now, so it's a pretty poor ratio, to be fair, after that good start of 2 on the bank. But yeah, that's what fishing can do to you at times, but we're getting the bite, so that's at least the first step. We just need to get them in that net and on the bank now. And there we go, finally got one in the net. It's just gone 25-15, this one, and it's the first one we managed to land after 5 losses on the trot, unfortunately. Adam lost one more this morning, literally about 2 seconds away from pulling the net up around it, and it just came off, unfortunately. But yeah, hopefully this one will get things moving again in the right direction. And there'll be a few more to follow this afternoon and tonight. She's away. Yes, you are seeing this right. That is a wet net in Adam's swim, and it has got a fish inside it.
I hate struggling with bloody net, it's new, innit?
I think he spat it out.
Is he?
Yeah. Whoa, whoa, whoa. There's a good little fishy. Not very right, most of it.
Oh, you said
And can you? I reckon about 22.
might be a little bit bigger than that.
You think?
Yeah, I'm going to go about 23 and a half, I reckon. So 12.
22 12.
22-12, yeah.
Good guess, wasn't it? Hey. Oh. Was the biggest carp of the year.
Your first one out of here as well.
It is my first one out of here, yeah. So. It's dirty. Cracking fish.
A lovely fish in here, isn't there?
Got the same mark on it, that one you had?
Yeah, that was a bit fatter than that one.
No, the redness there.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's a little scale, it's got caught in it somewhere.
That is the problem when they're locked up like that, isn't it? It's... God damn. So there we go, £22.15, my first fish from this lake. Very overdue, my third visit to this venue. Beautiful dark colours in these fish. I've had 2 blanks now, 2 misses, and finally one in the net.
Whee!
Thanks to Ryan. Nice big bullhead on it. Get some pictures done and get it back to the water for the next one.
I'll get you another one, mate.
Lovely. How many do you think it is?
I thought it was a big one before.
2012. £2.3 ounces left on the last one. There we go, fish number 2, another little common, £20, 12 ounces. Rod's only been back in 10 minutes. I don't think Ryan's got his rods out yet, bless him. Just managed to save it from going in the older reed bed. Another cracking fish, can't go the size of the tails from here. But get this one back, a few pictures, get back out again.
I'm going to go about 30, 34.12. $33.7.
Oh. Disappointing?
I'll take it. And there we go. The biggest one of the week so far. Just gone 33.7. Cracking mirror, funny little take. Didn't really know it was on, to be honest with you. Just had a couple of single bleeps. I came up to check the rod and he'd obviously come back towards me. There was a big old lump of weed around the line, and so just use that as a bit of a pivot point, I reckon. But yeah, we got her in. I'm well made up with this one. Nice to get a 30. Just need to get Adam on now, and the week should be complete. We'll get a couple of quick photos of it, get everything sorted out again, because the other rod got wiped out in the process. And yeah, fingers crossed there should be some more. Right, well that brings Wednesday to a close. Been a bit more successful today, not as many lost fish thankfully. Just that one sort of earlier on this morning for Adam, which was literally sort of seconds away from going over the net cord, unfortunately, when the hook pulled out. But a couple of little tweaks, and fingers crossed, you know, everything will keep going well, because all 4 takes we've had since have gone in the net. So you started off with that 25.15 common I had. I have been told it usually sort of sneaks over the 30 mark, but yeah, 25.15 I think is what it went at when I weighed it earlier. Then Adam obviously had his 2 low 20 commons, both lovely fish, and I'm really made up for him as well. It's his first couple of fish out of this particular lake, and and they were well deserved and long overdue as well. So yeah, that was a nice way to sort of get the evening rocking, and then it all got topped off with that 33 I had about an hour or so back. Yeah, it was a fish I've actually had before, one called the Pet apparently, and it was the first fish I ever had on the Pure Bait Concepts gear about, what's that, getting on for a couple of years ago now I think. So it's obviously got a bit of a taste for the old amino ester, because that's what I had it on back then as well, and it's fallen to that again this time. As of all the others this week, you know, they really have got onto that bait big time. That's 11 fish we've hooked now. I only landed 6 of them unfortunately, but yeah, you can't win them all, and it is a bit tricky out in front of my swim, in particular with the weed. I say that 33 had a great big ball of weed up the line as well. It was a really sort of funny take. I had a couple of single beeps and then a little sort of small flurry, and I sort of came up just to have a look more than anything, just in case I'd had a bit of a liner and that kind of thing, and see whether the bobbin had moved. And yeah, I got up to the swim and the bobbin had sort of pulled up tight to the underside of the rod blank, and I'm guessing as I sort of lifted into it, I felt it kind of pull free. And there was a big ball of weed up the line, so I'm guessing it's used that as a bit of a pivot point, and yeah, it just come back towards me and gone down the right margin a little bit. Yeah, she went in the net, so that's all that matters at the end of the day. A little bit of a mess to sort out with all the weed around the line. I ended up absolutely soaked and stinking and horrible, but yeah, I've had a 33, so it's a nice result. As I said earlier, we just need to get Adam one now, hopefully, either tonight or tomorrow night. We've still got about 36 hours or so left of the session. You know, we're not long over halfway through, so there's still plenty of chances. He's had 3 pickups today, so it has been quiet in the night, but fingers crossed something may well happen tomorrow for him, because that will really make the session if it does. But I'm going to head off now. Got a couple of messages to catch up on and reply to. I shall get my head down and possibly see you later on, but like I say, most of the takes have been during the day up till sort of 10 in the evening time, so it's likely to be a quiet one through the hours of darkness again, I'd imagine. But you never know. They're out there. They're obviously on the bait and feeding, so fingers crossed we'll have something else to show you pretty soon.
£20, 1 ounce.
I told you to just scrape 20, didn't I?
There's scraping 20, there's scraping 20, isn't there? That's a lot paler than the other ones, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's more of a sort of grey colour, isn't it?
Right, there we go, fish number 3 for me, £20, 1 ounce. That's the first time I've had 3 fish over 20 in a session, so things are getting better. Obviously last knockings again, just packing away, getting things sorted. Ripped off, saved it from the weeds, got it back. A lot lighter than the rest of the fish in here, but still pretty nonetheless. So I'll get some few photographs, put it back, and a bit like Ryan, I'll have some more luck later on tonight. Lovely. And there we have it.
Happy days.
Happy days.
Right, well, we're just going into the last night now. It's been a bit of a quieter day today, to be honest. Not seen many fish up this end over the shallow water at all. There was a few more sort of late afternoon, early evening, and Adam obviously did manage that other scraper 20 common that he had earlier. That was about sort of 3 o'clock time, I believe. But yeah, over my rods it's been very quiet. Not really seen any signs of fish feeding on either of the spots today. But you know, we're coming into a time where each of the last 3 evenings I've had a bite between sort of 8 and 9 o'clock, so fingers crossed there may be another one tonight before I get my head down. But you know, whatever happens tonight, it's been an awesome session, considering there's estimated to be sort of anywhere from 50 to 55 fish in here. You know, between me and Adam we've hooked 12 fish. Alright, unfortunately we lost 5 of them, but you know, it's a pretty hefty chunk of that estimated stock that we've hooked into through this week, so we certainly can't complain. Adam has headed off now, unfortunately. He's got a sort of informal job interview to head to tomorrow morning about 9 o'clock time, so he wanted to get himself back and showered and changed and sorted out properly, rather than having to pack up at silly o'clock in the morning and get back for it, because the road behind here can be a bit of a nightmare as well early on. So yeah, I'm down here by myself tonight, I believe. There's nobody else headed down yet, and it's getting on for about 7:30 time now, I think, so I wouldn't have thought there'll be anybody else turn up at any point. So yeah, late to myself. There's been a few fish shown in the area, like I say, so I've still got reasonable hopes that something may happen, but yeah, we'll just wait and see. I'm not as confident as I have been for the rest of the session down here, just purely for the fact of, you know, the amount of fish we've had out of this area, and not having seen too many today. But yeah, we're here, the rods are in the water, and yeah, you never know. Fingers crossed there'll be one more before I head off tomorrow. So yeah, we'll see how tonight goes. At this point I'm planning on staying here until around about sort of 3 or 4 o'clock tomorrow. That probably will depend on what happens this evening and whether I see any more sort of head up here tomorrow. If it's been quiet and it's quiet again with what I can see in the morning, then I may well head off and have a little trip down to the new syndicate lake that I've not actually fished yet. So yeah, if I can get down there and there's nobody on, then I might have a bit of a lead around, try and find a few spots, just get a sort of rough idea of the place, and just get a bit of information for when I do head down there over the next couple of weeks or so. But as far as sort of the next few weeks go, next week I will be out Monday and Tuesday night, currently trying to decide where I will head, whether it will be Trinity, whether it will be this other new little syndicate that I'm on, but sandwiched in between that I shall be heading over to the other day Ticket Lake. I should be going there with Simon again, try and get at least one more day in before the colder weather starts setting in. And then the week after that I've been very, very lucky to be invited over to Withy Pool up in Bedfordshire. Matt Burleson of the Withy products has invited me up there, so yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to that. As I'm sure a lot of you all know, Withy Pool is a very historic venue for both the carp and the cats, so I shall be taking a bit of everything down there. Probably decide at the time, just in one show out there now, probably decide when I get down there what I'm going to try and target. and you know, hopefully it'll be fishing well enough to have a go for both of them at some point during the trip. I'm planning on being down there for 3 nights, so yeah, it should be good. You know, there's been carp caught recently in there to over £40, and there's been well, it's actually the last official catfish record in the UK. I think it was about 24 years ago now, 25 years, something like that. Came out at £64, and yeah, somebody I know had that about probably 4 or 5 weeks back now, at just over £100. So you know, there's some pretty serious fish in there, and like I say, it's a very historic venue, and one I'm really looking forward to having a go on, and hopefully catching 1 or 2 of the prizes from its depths. As far as tonight goes, I've just had my dinner, so I'm going to sort of just relax, have a bit of time to myself, perhaps stick the old football on, because I think England are playing tonight, and hopefully await events of this evening. I would imagine if I've not had anything by the time I get myself to sleep, then it's probably not going to happen until tomorrow, but you never know. We shall see. But if I don't see you before the morning, then I will do a quick bit then and have a catch up with what the plan is for the rest of the day, and we shall go from there. Right, well, it was very quiet again last night. I did hear a few fish sort of show nearby between sort of midnight and 1 in the morning, but yeah, all the rods stayed quiet, unfortunately. I'm going to give it a sort of another half hour or so and then start packing away. I think, to be honest, the fish we've had so far through this session, it's obviously put them well on edge up here, because at the start of the week there was sort of groups of like 8 or 10 fish sort of milling in and about on top of the shallows here, and I've not seen any of that through the last sort of 24 to 36 hours really, just sort of odd ones nipping in and out. So I think it's pretty fair to say that you know, we've hooked 12 fish between me and Adam. You know, it's a big percentage of the stock in here, so I think it's like I say, it's pretty fair to say they've probably been put well on edge and pushed away from this area on the whole. So I can't complain at all. If you'd have said to me at the start of the week that we'd have had this kind of result out of here this week, then I'd have snapped your hand off for it. So the only thing I'd have liked is to have seen Adam get his 30, but yeah, that's one for another day. I'm sure we'll probably have another little session over here at some point. It is a cracking little water, and although it's not easy, you know, there's a good head of decent sized fish in here, so it's probably one of his best chances of getting that 30 around this area, without going to the sort of commercially stocked muddy puddles, which fair play to Adam, he's not overly interested in going to those sort of places just to catch his 30. So yeah, I'm just going to sort of keep my eye out over the next sort of half hour or so, just in case they do move back in. I could stay till about 4 o'clock if I wanted to, but I have got 1 or 2 bits and pieces I could do with getting sorted on the way back through to pick my little one up. I've got a bit of money I need to pay into the bank, and like I say, it'd be nice to drop into the new syndicate and have a lead about there if there's nobody else down there. So yeah, unless anything major happens over the next hour or 2, I shall leave it there for this session, and probably catch up with you next week at some time when I'm over one or the other syndicate during the night, and then like I said yesterday, it'll be down to the day ticket lake on the Tuesday for a day of assignment. So yeah, great session, very much enjoyed, great result as well, really pleased. So yeah, I'll leave it there and I'll speak to you soon.
Next time I'll bring
Not bad, huh?
2.25, I think. If we do this again.
Yeah.
I'll walk backwards, mate.
Mid doubles again, I think. Maybe a little bit bigger.
It's a fish. It's a cracker, that is. What's coming out now? Whoa!
Nearly got you. There we go. First one of the day for Simon. On a bit of bread, fished about a foot under the surface.
Yeah.
Everything's been very slow on the bottom side of things, so we've changed it up, and the rod wasn't out there anymore in about 5 minutes or so, and that one's gone. Cracking looking fish.
Yeah, well pleased. Nice one, mate. Your turn now. Whoa. Yeah, you're close, I think.
Yeah.
It's not a finger.
21.5.
Well, what?
21.5.
You're frothy now for that. Oh well, that long last.
Been a tough day today, isn't it?
Yeah, very.
Yeah, that's the biggest one of the day so far. Compromising position.
Oh, you got it right there. Wet now. Well, I don't want to be wet. Moody mare.
Must be clean well.
That's right. Red dots on me.
Yeah. Stunning fish.
28.1.
28.2?
Yeah.
Very nice indeed.
That's a perler, mate.
Well, what a way to end the day. It's very nearly had this one earlier. It sucked a bit of bread in that I was fishing about 2 foot under the surface and spat it straight out again, and we've been watching it come in on a little marginal spot for the last sort of hour or two, and finally it's gone. It was the one we wanted on the end. It's gone 28.2, big ghosty from the lake, absolutely made up. Get a couple of photos, get the rod sorted again, and you never know, we might have one more before the day's out. Been tough going, been real tough going today. It's sort of 28-30 degrees, so we've had 5 now between us.
Yeah.
I think we've done rather well to get that, to be fair, especially finishing off with this one.
Definitely, mate. That's an absolute cracking fish. Go out the bank a bit. You're going to put back in here.
Yeah, I've got one there, it's clear on it.
Yeah. Well, at least that one hasn't roared off while we've been doing this.
I was half expecting it, I've got to say.
Yeah, you got anyone?
Stunning fish, that is.
My turn this time.
Well, what a day that has been. It's been a long one, it's been a warm one, but it's turned out to be a really good one at the end of it all. I've just got back down to the Syndicate Lake again. I left here at about 4:30, 5 o'clock this morning to get over to the Day Ticket Lake, where you've just seen us have those fish. Yeah, I sort of woke up this morning, my alarm went off at 4 o'clock, and I've got to be honest, I really did not want to get up and out of bed. You know, as me and Chris were down here last night, and there's a lot of road works going on along the road that you sort of turn off to get down here, and yeah, long story short, Chris ordered a pizza to be delivered. We're both sort of waiting and anticipating that from about sort of 9:30 or so, and yeah, we got a phone. Well, Chris got a phone call about 10 o'clock saying they couldn't get through because of the road works, and yeah, he tried all over the place and eventually got somewhere that said could get down here from like the other side of the road works. But yeah, it got to about 11 o'clock time, and we both pretty much gave up hope. We just thought they got caught up in it all as well, and we were never going to get our pizzas. So we sort of got our heads down. At about 11:30, Chris rang me. He said, "Oh, the pizzas will be here in about 5 minutes." So yeah, we were sat down here having a takeaway pizza at pretty much midnight last night. So I was up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get over to the Day Ticket Lake. So yeah, I was pretty shattered when my alarm went off earlier on. You know, it's not been made any easier with how warm it's been today. It was absolutely baking hot over there. You know, this little warm spell that's pretty much come out of nowhere. You know, it was hot yesterday. You know, it was sort of, I think it was about 26, 27 yesterday, and today it was sort of 28 to 30 degrees. And yeah, we had a bit of shade to sit under over there, but even under there it was really sort of stifling and not nice to be out in at all, in all honesty. not to mention really poor fishing conditions. So I've got to admit, after the first couple of hours and we hadn't had a bite and it started to get sort of light and warm, I'd pretty much written off near enough all hope of catching anything at all. And then the first fish we had, it was just round the corner from the swims that we were sort of in, sort of set up properly in. I went round there and baited with a bit of corn down in the edge, and got a few feed in right up on the marginal shelf, and I managed to have one that was actually on the float, which was quite nice. I didn't photograph it or do any video or anything. It was a common low to mid double, something like that, but a lovely fish, really clean, you know, nice sort of stocky, well built fish. So yeah, it could be a promising one for the future. And then yeah, after that it went very quiet on that spot. Nothing seemed to be coming back in. So on that same float rod we shallowed it right up. The pellet waggler that we had on there was about sort of 6-7 inches long, I suppose, something like that. And then we had about another 10-inch drop on the bottom of that. And we were just pinching a bit of bread onto the hook and fishing that sort of like 18 inches or so, whatever it was, under the surface, because all they were doing is cruising around out in front of us. You know, they weren't interested in bait or anything like that. They were just going along without a care in the world, really. But yeah, about 5 minutes after we popped that out there, it absolutely flew off, and Simon had that lovely sort of mid-double linear. So yeah, that was nice. We both sort of got off the mark when we thought we were going to really struggle throughout the day. But after that we did really struggle, until right at the back end of the day, which it always does over this lake. It always turns on as the light starts to go, and it starts to cool off a bit. They tend to push into the edges, have a feed, and that's exactly what happened. I'm just trying to remember now, what did we... Simon had a... I think that was a little common, I believe. I think he had a small common to start with. No, he didn't, sorry. He had a mirror just over 21 pound. That one that gave him a bit of a beating up on the mat. And then we went round the corner where I'd had that first fish from earlier on in the day, because they were coming right in on those shelves. So we decided to take the rods right round there rather than casting across, and sort of just dropped them in under the rod tips. And the next bite was another mirror. We didn't weigh it, but it was probably a scraper 20, I should imagine, certainly up around that kind of area. Simon had that one again, and then yeah, it was the big one, the big ghosty common. You know, I'd seen Adam have it about 3 years or so ago. You know, and ever since I saw it on the bank then, I really wanted to catch that fish. It's got a bit of a scar on one side, but other than that it is absolutely immaculate. And the scar sort of gives it a little bit of character, I suppose. But I've been watching it all day long. When we had the float out in the middle with the bread sort of sat about 18 inches under, we actually saw it come around and suck the bread in. Unfortunately it blew it out again just as quickly. So yeah, I'd sort of seen it then and we missed out. And then, like I say, round this corner late on in the day, I'd seen it coming in on the spot several times, and I was sort of keeping a good watch. So many flies about. I haven't got my bivvy up and my old lights on, so they're buzzing right around my face. But yes, I'd seen this ghosty common keep coming in to this sort of little bay where the swim was, and it was really sort of tentative, whereas the others would sort of go down and have a decent feed on the corn that was down there. This one sort of came in, had a couple of mouthfuls, then sort of lifted up and circled off again before sort of coming back round. But I did notice it always came in from this one certain area up onto the shelf, and I made sure to sort of position my rig down there, because the majority of the fish were feeding sort of right in the middle of the swim, if not over to the right hand side. And I say this ghosty common kept coming up the right tight into the left hand side along the reeds, so yeah, I'd put it down there, kept baiting it over the top, because fish were coming in and feeded on it. Luckily, you know, none of them picked it up, and then me and Simon were just sort of sat down a few yards back from the water's edge, just having a chat. There was a big old boil on the surface, and we sort of like, whoa, that's something spooked that off. And then a few seconds later, as the line, because I had the line real slack, the clutch absolutely started melting away. So I run down and hit into it, and I'd actually been up about 2 minutes before, sort of looking in the swim, and I said to Simon, there's nothing coming in here at all anymore, I've not seen anything for ages. And I'll say this one's absolutely melted off. Yeah, hit into it, and it's carried on going, and Simon sort of jokingly said, "Oh, I thought you said there wasn't anything in there." I said, "Well, I didn't think there was." And he then mentioned he thinks it may well have been the ghosty. He said he saw a sort of lightish coloured shape move off when the swirl came up, and yeah, after a few seconds I sort of turned it and got it back towards me, and yeah, it turned over in the water, and I could see that it was the ghosty. And yeah, from that moment on, you know what it's like when you know what you've got on the end, and when it's one that you really want, it sort of adds that extra little bit of pressure. So yeah, every sort of lunge and run that it took, you know, it sort of headed towards the reeds either side 3 or 4 times, and I just managed to sort of turn it and get it back away from them. But yeah, when it went in the net, I was so relieved, so happy. You know what it's like when you catch a fish that you really want to catch. And yeah, it's not massive at all by any standards, but for that lake, you know, if it's not the biggest fish, it's probably not far off, I shouldn't think. And it's, to me anyway, it's certainly the most special fish in there. You know, it's one that really stands out from the rest of them. So yeah, I was over the moon. Like I keep saying on these diary pieces, I'm absolutely blown away by the last sort of 12 months I've had fishing wise. It's been brilliant. You know, especially when I've been with Simon as well, which for one reason or another, which I shan't go into, you know, it means an awful lot being able to make all these sort of memories, and they've been amazing memories as well that we've managed to sort of make and share over this last few months. You know, right back from back in the last year when, alright, it wasn't on one of these diary pieces, but I'm sure a few of you will have seen the photos of when I took my little girl down there, down to the day ticket with Simon, and we had a great day and a great afternoon once she got there after school. You know, the perch fishing through the winter together, you know, it was great. We had numerous sort of good £2 plus perch, up to sort of just over £2.5, I think it was. Really great fun. And obviously Churchwood, you know, that goes without saying, that was the session to end all sessions down there, to be honest. You know, having that 72 for myself, the biggest one in the lake, and Simon having, I think he must have broken his PB 4 or 5 times down there, you know, starting off with a 40 and then a 50, then a bigger 50, then the 60 on the last night. That was amazing, really was. And then the last session we had down the day ticket lake, that was a great day. You know, so many laughs with things that sort of happened that yeah, you just couldn't, if you were sort of writing a story, you wouldn't even put them in, because you wouldn't believe they could sort of happen. You know, I remember one time when we were just going to watch one of the England games in the World Cup, actually, not the World Cup, sorry, the Euros, and we'd had a few fish, and Simon sort of headed off to the toilet, and we just recast the rods, and a couple of minutes after he'd headed off, his left hand rod melted away, so I've hit into that, and then my right hand rod's gone 10 seconds later, something like that. I've got these 2 rods sort of in either hand, trying to trying to hold on and control 2 fish at once. And I was sort of shouting Simon, and he was like, "You got one?" And I said, "Yeah, I've got 2." And he come through the old hedgerow laughing his head off. But yeah, so many good memories. And then today, again, we're very good at talking things up between the 2 of us. All day I'd sort of said how I'd love to catch the ghostie. We'd seen it going around. Wouldn't it be great to see it on the bank? Really like to catch it. And that was if I had to choose one fish in there to catch, it would be that one. And yeah, right at the end of the day, after having it sort of pretty much mugging me off through most of the afternoon, yeah, it was on the end of the line, and in the net. So what a great day. Yeah, so I'm back over the syndicate now. I'm quite fortunate to be here as well, I think, to be honest. It's the old roadworks that prevented the pizza last night. They're out again tonight, and I came up to the road and it was all coned off, road closed, diversions here, there and everywhere. I thought, oh god, I'm going to have to drive all the way back to Fakenham now. But I got chatting to one of the road workers, and he sort of said, "Oh, where are you trying to get to?" I said, "Oh, just down the lake, just over the bridges." And he let me through, thankfully. Told me to sort of go steady, put my hazards on, and he said, "Yeah, just take it easy, get down there and get in, and you'll be fine. Don't worry about it." So yeah, I'm quite lucky to be down here tonight. I can see him up on the bridge now, working away. So yeah, well, it must be about 10:30 or so now, I should think. I say there's flies buzzing all around my face, so I need to get this light turned off quickly because they're doing my head in a bit. Both the rods are out in the water. I'm only fishing 2 tonight, just one down either margin, nice and easy. So yeah, I'm going to get my head down, see what happens through the night. Fingers crossed I'll manage one, but if not, who cares? It's been another amazing day's fishing. It's I say, like I keep saying, it just blows me away every time, especially when I head out with Simon. It just always seems to end well this year. So many great memories and great sessions. But yeah, I'm heading off now. I say, if I don't see you through the night with a fish, I've got all sort of good intentions of getting back down here Thursday. So yeah, if I don't see you later on, I shall catch up with you on Thursday. 19.1.
19.1.
Yeah.
Okay, picture time.
I'll get a little bit of video of it quick and then. There we go, my first Withy Pool carp. It's just gone £19 one, and Matt says it's quite a rare one out of here as well. It's only been caught a couple of times, so yeah, nice one to have. Right down just in the edge, only probably, I don't know, 15-20 foot or so from the bank. It's a cracking carp, gave a good account of itself as well after it absolutely ripped off and scared the life out of me while I was in bed. But Matt's had a nice cat early on this evening as well, so fingers crossed there'll be a few more to come as well. So I'm going to get a couple of photos, pop this one back down, and underarm that rod back out there. That way. First Withy cat. That rod had literally been out there probably no more than about 10 minutes. Came on the cart rod, which was about right. I was literally in the bivvy just moving the photos over that fish I just had, and this one absolutely melted away. So yeah, going to get another couple of photos, get it out there once again and see what it's going to bring me next time. Is it? Carp number 2 of the session. Lovely little common this time around. Nothing else happened through the hours of darkness, unfortunately, but it's looking really good for it today, so fingers crossed there might be a few more carp and a couple more cats along the way as well. I'm going to get a couple of pictures of this one as well, pop it back again and get the rod out and get back in the dry. Yeah, lovely little fish. Yeah, so all of its fins have got sort of, even the dorsal's got a bit on its like front spine there, look. Fucking old Withy Carp, just gone 33.15. Nearly. Awesome fish that is, mate. Very, very nice. Get a couple of quick photos of it showing.
Cheers, mate.
Do you think we're going to go? Right, well, just got my bit of steak on for lunch. It's Tuesday afternoon now. We've been down here, well, I left work about this time yesterday, so I got down here about 4 o'clock time, I think it was, so just under 24 hours. As you'll have already seen by those couple of clips that we've had at the start, we've had a brilliant start to the session down here at Withy. I started off with that high double mirror, really cracking old sort of typical Withy looking fish, you know, the big sort of overslung heads, great big fins on it, big old backs, and then I've not long just turn this bit of steak over. There we go. Yeah, I just put that one back, got the rod back out there, put a bit more bait out, right down in the edge where I had it from, and I was actually just sat in the bivvy, just moving the photos over to have a look and sort of crop them down and everything on my phone, and yeah, it ripped off again with that low 20 cat. I mean, we didn't weigh the cat, but it was around about that sort of weight, and then came through till this morning and had that little common that was probably low doubles, I should think. I reckon about 12 pound, I would say. Yeah, it's been very wet today. Hell of a lot of rain. It's just starting to ease up a little bit now, so hopefully we're sort of at the back end of it. And this afternoon it'll dry up and we can get out on the boat and reposition the cat rods and everything ready for tonight. But as you've just seen as well, Matt had that 3315. It's cracking fish over on the reed line, the tree line rather, over to the left margin. Really good scrap as well in the deep water. Gave him a real good run around. So yeah, it's a great start. You know, we're not even sort of 24 hours in, and Matt obviously had that low 30 cat right at the start of the session as well. I hadn't even got my rods out at that point. So yeah, 2 cats, 3 carp. We've had a couple of sort of funny little possible aborted takes on the cat rods as well. So yeah, it's all looking quite positive. Yeah, I'm looking forward to tonight. I'm going to get a couple of cat rods out again just before dark and go down to the 1 carp rod like I did last night. Because I would really like to get one of the bigger cats out. But at the same time, you know, the carp are obviously well on it as well. That's 3 we've had now between us, so they're obviously having a good feed. And speaking of good feeds, my steak is just about looking done, so I'm going to get that in my belly. And say if this rain's all calmed down by the time I finish that, I shall probably redo the cat rod, I reckon, and maybe have a look at the marginal carp rod as well, just give that a bit of a freshen up from this morning. Right, I'm going to have this bit of steak, and yeah, I'll catch up with you a bit later. Right, well, there we go. First sort of real decent cut I've had out of here, and believe it or not, it's the one that Matt had on the first evening. It's got a little scar and sort of little lump of tissue under its belly, so it's 100% the same fish. Obviously he didn't get on the camera the first time around, so he obviously wanted to come back and be seen to you all. So yeah, well made up with this. Just gone 36.1 I think it was. So I think it's put on a couple of pound as well. It's obviously got a belly full of my pellet, I reckon. But right, going to get a couple of photos, pop it back, and yeah, see if we can get another one through the night. They're very active out there again, slapping all over the surface. So I think we may do all right tonight. I'm just heading into the second night down here at Withy now. As you saw earlier on this evening, I had that mid-30 cat, which was it's a cracking fish. It's really dark as well. I don't know whether it will have picked the sort of colours up properly with obviously being at night and the light on the camera or not, but really lovely dark fish, and they're still very active out there as well. There's been an awful lot of movement and tail slaps out on the surface, so the cats are obviously well on the feed and on the hunt out there. So yeah, I think there's a reasonable chance of something else happening tonight, whether it be on the cat side of things or possibly picking one up on the carp rods maybe. I'm down here by myself tonight. Matt has had some family come to visit, so he went to see them this evening, and he's headed back home. I'm pretty sure he is likely to be heading back over. Well, he'll be back over tomorrow at some point. I think he's going to fish tomorrow night as well. But yeah, it's looking pretty promising. It's been a great session so far, really. You know, we've had, I've had 2 carp, that mirror and the common, 2 cats. Matt has had a cat and a carp. So yeah, it's not been a bad first 24 hours really, and yeah, we've still got the majority of the session ahead of us. So yeah, fingers crossed there'll be a few more to show before we head off on Thursday. It's been brilliant so far, you know, just to get the chance to fish somewhere like this. You know, the sort of history of the place, on both in both the cat and the carp world. It's a very historic venue, and it's a really lovely place to be as well. With I mean, the cats are really dark and they're sort of black as your hat. They're lovely fish, and then the carp as well. They're they're sort of true. You can just tell a Withy fish. You know, especially the big mirrors. You know, they've got those sort of big sort of humped backs, or sort of big overslung heads and mouths, and yeah, they're really sort of characterful fish. And it was great to see a decent sized one as well. You know, obviously I love catching that mirror in the common I have, but to see that 33 that Matt had was really nice. But yeah, we'll see what happens over the next sort of 48 hours before I have to head off. So I'm reasonably confident we're going to have something more before we go. Whether it carries on in the same sort of rich vein of form that we've experienced this first 24 hours or so, I don't know, but yeah, I'm sure there'll be something else, and fingers crossed it'll be at some point tonight. Yeah, they're all out there. The rod that I had the 36 on earlier, unfortunately with nobody else being here to watch the other rods, I couldn't head out in the boat to drop that out on the spot again, so that's just been underarm down in close, just over the back of a weed bed. I've had a few liners on that, and obviously I did pick that cat up on the carp rod last night as well, which was only down in close. Another real big tail slap out there then. So I think it's got a chance down there. You know, I just underarmed it out and brought it back a couple of times. It's going down nice and hard, and then probably about another 5 or 10 foot further in from where I've dropped it, there is a bit of weed there, so hopefully that little bit of cover, you know, the sort of drop off from the margins, there may be a cat or two hanging about in that weed, and they'll head out at some point through the night to go and have a few pellets. All the other rods are still where they were set at the start of the evening. My right hand rod is down in close on the right hand margin where I had those 2 carp and the cat from last night. I've got a carp rod out onto the left hand tree line, and there's a cat rod a little bit further along that tree line as well, sort of where the drop, his lake sort of drops off really deep out in front of the swim, and then probably about 50-60 yards out into the lake it comes up really sort of rapidly from sort of mid 20 to 30 foot deep, up onto a shallow area which pretty much covers the whole far end of the lake. And yeah, that's where I had that cat from earlier. And I say the left hand cat rod that is still out there is kind of fished at the bottom of that drop off and on the edge of that tree line down the left margin, so it should be in a nice little area there, I would imagine. So there's been a lot of activity over on that tree line, and there's been a fair few liners as well through the evening, so yeah, my hopes are reasonably high. And I am going to get my head down now because it's getting on for about 11 o'clock time, I think. So try and get a bit of shut eye before we hopefully have a bit of action later on. Well, it's another liner. Well, it's now Wednesday morning. Last night didn't quite go to plan, unfortunately. After that 36 cat early on, things sort of went downhill a fair bit after that, to be fair. Had an awful lot of liners right the way through the night, you know, to the point it was quite difficult to settle and get off to sleep. About 2 in the morning my right hand carp rod absolutely flew off, but it just kept sort of powering down the margin, and unfortunately found a snag a little way down. I didn't manage to get it out. I left the rod on the rests overnight just in case, but yeah, this morning came and I reeled the other rods in and sort of followed the line down, and yeah, it just dropped the hook in a snag, unfortunately. But at least the fish had got away. So yeah, that rod was out of action all night. Obviously the rod that I had the cat on, I couldn't get that back out onto the spot that I'd originally put it on for the night. So that one, although it was in the water, it wasn't really in an area that I expected to catch from. And then probably around about 10 o'clock this morning, the left hand carp rod absolutely flew off down the tree line. But that was pretty much an instant hook pull, unfortunately. I sort of hit into it, rod went round, and a couple of shakes of the head and it was off. So yeah, that was 2 lost fish. Not great really, but yeah, that's the way fishing goes sometimes, especially when you're fishing up against snags like we are in here. And then just to rub salt into the wounds, I reeled in the other cat rod, the one that had still been on the spot from where I put it yesterday evening. Reeled it in, and yeah, I sort of felt something on the end all the way in. I thought it was just perhaps a bit of weed or something like that, but it was a great big, well, not massive tree branch, but a tree branch probably about 4 foot long, right on the hook. So that pretty much rendered that rig useless overnight. So yeah, not too great really. The one rod that was still fishing after the couple of takes, you know, so I had that hook pull on that one, but I've got everything resorted now. So I got out in the boat and got that other one out of the snag. I didn't get my rig back, unfortunately, but I got everything else, so I've retied a rig up for that one, got that back down on that marginal spot again. All the other 3 I've boated back out as well, rebaited around all 3, and it's quite a nice settled day today. It's definitely dropped a few degrees. It's not cold by any means, but I shouldn't think it's any more than probably 14-15 degrees. Nice and overcast, so yeah, it's looking positive still. Obviously you've just heard as I started this piece was a little liner then. That was on the left hand cat rod, which is over on that tree line. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I think Matt's popping back down later on this afternoon. I think he's planning on fishing tonight, but we shall see what happens later on. But for now I'm just going to go and get my chair out now that we haven't got any rain today, and just sort of sit there and enjoy the the scenery and the peace and quiet, and fingers crossed we may well get into a fish at some point through the day. Unhooking mat, dog bed, same kind of thing really. And there we go, a lovely common to end that little run of bad luck that we had through last night. This one's just gone 1912 off of the tree line over to the left. Really cracky looking fish, nice deep bodied dark old common. We've got one of the dogs here in shot as well, just having a little sniff about. But yeah, well pleased with this one, gave a hell of an account of itself as well, really charged around the swim, started off on the left margin like I say, and it was down going on the right hand margin of the swim, which is probably a good, I don't know, 80 to 100 yards away by the time I'd got it in the net. So I'm going to get a couple of photos, get that rod back out over there because it's been quite sunny this afternoon, so hopefully they'll be moving up on the shallower water, and we may well get another one. ourselves another rather lively little common. I think I'm just going to get this one unhooked and pop it straight back. It's probably only maybe a scraper double possibly. I'm just going to underarm that rod down in the left hand margin for tonight now I think. Let's come off of that left hand tree line again. Lovely little fish, great scrap again. Right, well we've got ourselves another cat. I've not weighed it, but I'm gonna guess it's probably around the sort of low to mid 20s I reckon. Another real plump, fat little thing. It's in cracking condition. Really dark these fish in here. Lovely looking fish they really are, and that's come off of the same sort of spot as that 36 from last night, out on the old Withy halibut and mackerel 28mm barrel boilies again, fishing them over a big bed of halibut pellet, and yeah, he's been doing the job. So I'm going to get a couple of quick photos just for the old records and memories, and we'll pop this one back and get that rod resorted again, drop it down in the edge, and I've just seen one of my carp rods looks like it's been moved about a fair bit as well, so I think we're going to do that one again while I'm up as well. Right, lovely fish, well pleased. Well, it's probably the smallest one of the trip, I should imagine, but another lovely little fish all the same. A real deep-bodied little common. That's off that left-hand rod that I had the other carp on earlier in the evening. I just repositioned it down in the left margin, and yeah, this one's just ripped off with it. So. Yeah, I'll plonk that back down there. You never know, there might be a bigger one come along at some point before we head off tomorrow afternoon. They certainly seem to be quite active tonight, the carp, so yeah, it's been a great session so far. That's carp number 5 now, and 3 cats, so yeah, I've still got about half of tonight to go. It's about 2:30 I think, 2:30, 3 o'clock, something like that, so there's still plenty of time left for something a little bit bigger to possibly come along before we go. Right, I'm going to pop this one back, get that little rod back out in the water, and see what will happen before we have to head off. Oh, that's one of the cat rods, just had a little liner then. Right, let's get him back. Well, what a palaver this one's caused. I was on that right hand rod where I lost the fish last night in the snag. Hooked into it, it was definitely there, pulling back, and then all went solid again under the trees. But I was pretty sure it was still on tonight, so as you can probably see from the life jacket, I've just been out in the boat, followed the line down, and yeah, picked it out a couple of sort of clumps of weed that are growing on the branches of the tree, and finally got to the end of where the leader was, and yeah, without too much trouble, this one came up from the depths. I managed to scoop it in the net, cut the old line once it was in there, and and make my way back to the bank. It's just gone 19.5, so yeah, well made up with it. Another cracking common as well. You know, from what I've heard from Matt, I don't think the bigger commons are all too common, shall we say, in here. So yeah, to have a couple of 19s, and this is definitely a different fish from the one I had the other day as well, because that one had quite a distinguishable lip on one side where it's sort of angled up in the corner. So yeah, I'm going to get a couple of photos. I think I'll probably leave that rod in tonight now until the morning, re-rig it then and have a go once the sun comes up again. Cracking fish, well pleased. Right, well, I'm just heading into my last afternoon down here at Withy. I've probably got about 3 hours or so of fishing time remaining, I should imagine, and it has been an incredible session. You know, first and foremost, I'm just very thankful and incredibly privileged to been able to fish the place, and a massive thanks go out to Matt of Withy Products for allowing me to come down here and letting me fish this incredible venue. You know, it's so rich in history when it comes to both carp and cats, so to sort of walk the banks and be able to fish its waters, and even more so to catch some of its stock has been great. Yeah, and I'll ever forever remember this session and being allowed down on here. As far as going forward it goes, I've not long just reset these rods for the afternoon. I've put the cat rods away now because I've not had any action on the cat side of things throughout the day in the time I've been here, so I've popped them away, got an extra carp rod out, and I've positioned 2 of these up on the shallower water up the far end of the lake. There's a real nice little hole in the weed that Matt has made by sort of feeding it up over the last few months. So that's been taken right down to the gravel. You know, so I've got a rig placed right on the edge of the gravel there, so all the lead and the tubing is laid nicely back into the weed. I've just got my little bit of my hook link and the hook bait just poking out the edge of it. I've then got another one in a little sort of alcove over towards some overhanging trees on the far left hand margin. Again, there's a nice little hole in the sort of over the back of the weed in there, so that one has been placed just into that, and the left hand rod is along that left hand tree line where I've managed to pick 2 or 3 fish up from now, and where Matt had that 33 the other day as well. So I say there's not an awful lot of time left, but you never know. They're out in the water, they're fishing well in areas that I feel quite confident in. That should the fish pass over and fancy a feed, we may well get one last chance, but whatever happens, it's been a great session. You know, 6 carp, 3 cats. I've lost a couple as well, whether they've been carp or cats I'm not too sure, but yeah, really has been a very enjoyable 3 days down here. But I'm going to get myself some bacon sandwiches on now, get a couple of those cooked up. That will tide me over until I get back home for dinner later on, and yeah, just going to enjoy the last couple of hours of being here and being allowed to spend time in such an amazing place. I think the next time you'll see me will be over on the Syndicate, I've got a little session over there with Chris, which will be quite nice. I've not really spent a lot of time there recently with having so many little forays here and there to different places over the last couple of months, so being able to sort of knuckle down for the autumn and get stuck into that will be quite nice. You know, with trips over to Albans, Churchwood, down here obviously, and not forgetting like the tote trips and the session I had out with Adam the other week on the little day ticket lake. You know, I've been here, there and everywhere, to be honest, over the last 2 months or so. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting knuckled down for the autumn, and going into the winter on both Trinity and the other little water I've been invited onto. And yeah, fingers crossed we'll manage to sneak a few more out before the real cold weather hits and the pike fishing time is upon us. But yeah, as far as today goes, like I say, I've got about another 2.5–3 hours now. Get a bit of food and then I'll probably have a relax for an hour and a half or so, and then just start having a slow pack away towards the end of the afternoon. And yeah, fingers crossed we might get one more chance, but if not, it's been an awesome session, and one I shall remember for a long while for a few different reasons. So I'm going to leave it there, get the old stove and everything out for one last time, and yeah, we'll if I don't catch you down here again before I leave, then I shall see you probably Sunday afternoon or early evening time. Well, I was pretty much packed up and ready to go. The bivvy's down, all of the bed and bags are away, and I was just going to have a sort of 15–20 minute sit down before bringing the rods in. And the middle rod over in that tiny little hole over near the bushes, picked up tight, and another big line on the left hand rod. Yeah, picked up tight and managed to get it away from the overhangs, thankfully, and this was the result. Another stunning old common, £19.12. This one has gone. Still not quite hit that £20 mark, but you know, they're awesome old fish in here. That's 3 £19 commons I've had now. And this one's a completely different sort of body shape to the other couple I've had, but yeah, really made up. What a great week, and yeah, speechless really. Awesome fishing. Right, well I guess I'd better give you guys a bit of a catch up on what's been going on over the last sort of week or so. I did get down here last week, as I said previously. Came down here for a couple of nights with Chris. Things didn't quite go to plan, unfortunately. It was very slow. Chris did manage a couple. To be fair to him, he had one on the Monday morning, about 2–3 hours after I'd had to leave to head off to work. That was a little low double, sort of low to mid double. And then I came back after work, did another night. Chris had one again the following morning, about 7 o'clock time, another sort of low double mirror. And that was pretty much it, to be honest. It was quite slow, and yeah, I was expecting a bit more from it, to be fair, but you know, it's fishing. It's is what it is. You can't catch them all the time. It did drop very chilly those couple of nights, so whether that had a bit of a knock-on effect with our results or not, I'm not too sure. But yeah, that was that. Not an awful lot else to fill you in on, to be fair. As far as those couple of nights go, it was very quiet. Had a really nice pizza on the last night, so that was about the highlight for me. Yeah, and then we headed back home. I did come back down here Thursday night. Unfortunately there was a couple of people in here. Josh was actually in the swim I'm in now. He'd already had one, I believe, and there was another guy who dropped in a bit of a sort of in-betweeny swim. It was the swim in the middle of where me and Chris were fishing at the start of the week, and I kind of had it in my head that I was going to fish in either where I was at the start of the week or where Chris was, and sort of fish over the same spots and same bait. But with this guy being sort of smack bang in the middle of the two swims, it kind of knocked both of them on the head, to be fair. It would have been a bit close if I'd have dropped in either of those. So I went into another little swim that I'd never fished before. Chris has fished it a couple of times. He's had one or two out of there now, and I think he lost one as well. So I dropped in there. It was a sort of easy swim to get up and away again in the morning for work, so I just plonked them in under the rod tips. I was right in a sort of little bay there. If there had been something coming overnight, I'd have felt pretty confident of having something, but yeah, not so much as a liner, unfortunately. And I was away again early the following morning. And yeah, that pretty much brings us through to now. It's where are we? The 27th of September. I've just dropped into a swim that I say Josh fished last week. I've not been in here for probably 3 or 4 months now, I should think. You know, it's a swim I've done reasonably well in the past. When I got down here, it was absolutely chucking it down with rain. Big sort of southwesterly wind blowing into the corner just up to the left of here. But it is due to switch a little bit tomorrow and come more sort of straight southerly, which will be pretty much bang into this corner. So I stood here under my brolly for 5 or 10 minutes just watching out over the water, and I saw 3 shows in that time, literally no more than sort of 10 or 15 yards out in front of the swim. So that was more than good enough for me, especially knowing how the wind's going to switch around tomorrow. We're going to get quite a bit of rain, I think, unfortunately, but you know, we're all set up and ready for it now. Yeah, I've got 3 rods all sort of positioned down the right hand. I'm in a sort of corner. I've got them all down the right hand side of the swim, at different sort of distances out. I've got one tucked right in the corner, another one about 40 yards down the margin, and another one fishing probably about 60-70 yards down the margin. So yeah, I've covered most bases, I think. And I've knocked the particle on the head for this week as well. It's all boilie fishing now, a mix of the amino marine and the vitamino, and we shall see what happens through tonight. I'm reasonably confident, like I say. All the rods went down nice. There's fish still in the area, and I've done quite well out of this swim in the past, fishing in the style that I am at the moment. So yeah, hopefully there will be a bit of action either through tonight or tomorrow, and yeah, we'll fingers crossed be catching up later on in the evening, and I might have a fish in my hands to show you. Right, well, there we go. That's not taking too long in here. It's it's not too long after dark. I just had this really pretty little mirror. It's just gone £15 one. Not too sure whether it's a stocky or an original, to be fair. Sort of scaling wise, I'd say it's probably a stocky, but it's sort of little withered up fins. Are making me wonder whether it's an original. They're all sort of, oh yeah, they're all kind of really small and withered up on the edges, so real character of a little fish, this one, and really pretty little thing as well. So I'm going to get a couple of photos of it, pop it back, try and get that rod back out there again, and yeah, fingers crossed it'll be the first of a few for this this couple of nights that we got ahead of us. Right, well, those big southerlies that got promised yesterday evening have come to fruition. Just had an absolutely ripping take on my right hand rod rather. Not the biggest of fish, but yeah, lovely little stocky mirror. Probably just sneaking into double figures, I should imagine, maybe 11, 12 pound or so, something like that. But yeah, it's looking good over here at the moment. This one's just smashed through both my other lines, unfortunately. He ploughed underneath the middle one on the take and then flew underneath the left hand one as well, so they probably both need redoing anyway. They've been out there all night. So yeah, I'm going to pop this one back, get everything reset and resorted for the day ahead. It's around about sort of 10:30 now, so fingers crossed they'll keep moving in on this wind, and there might be a few more through the day.